Welcome back to Norrath. So in the last video, you saw that I started building the walls of the city of Koinos, and, well, you've seen the thumbnail. I may have gotten just a little carried away. Well, okay, I got somewhat carried away. Okay, I got extremely carried away. We have done a lot of work on the city itself and also the plain of Karana out here, so we're going to start in the plain out here by the end of the aqueduct, and we'll work our way to the city. So the first thing we need to take a look at is, of course, the tower we're standing on here. This is a Koinosian design watchtower, because as I said last episode, Koinos is going to be a Roman-themed city, a grand Roman-themed city. So all of its watchtowers and architecture around here have to reflect that fact. So guarding this particular bridge across the Karana River down here is this Roman style watchtower. I may change the top of the tower just a little bit, but currently at the moment it's just a flat design tower with a little roof on it. But this is something that can be expanded later on. And of course, we do have a little area inside here for the guards to live in, and they can stand on the balcony here and keep watch over the river. Make sure no nefarious creatures are attempting to cross the bridge. And we have quite a few of these watchtowers. You can see in the distance over here, we have a larger castle over there, a smaller castle tower. We have two of those. Well, I think actually three in Karana. And we can see the second one over here. You can also barely see the new wizard spire design that we're going to be taking a look at in a minute. But first, let's talk about the giant aqueduct we have barreling straight across the plain of Karana here. As you can tell, this is the same exact design that I did in the Roman Aqueduct tutorial that I did quite a while ago now. And the reason I did the aqueduct in the first place is because I knew that I wanted to have this aqueduct here stretching across the plains. It also stretches across the river down here. And, of course, our aqueduct, in order for it to be any good, has to have a source of water. And where better to get a source of fresh, cool, clean mountain water than in the mountains. And it's particularly cool because, as we can see, it's slightly iced over around here. But it is very deep down here. We can't really see down there. But what I basically did was I took this mountain valley on the side of the mountains over here, and I walled the entire thing off with the walls that I showed off last time. And as you can see, our aqueduct is plugged into the middle of it here. And on the side over here, we can see that at the water level, the water is indeed flowing into our aqueduct, which will in turn flow all the way down to the city of Koinos itself on the other side by the seacoast. So let me give you a good look around here. I could change the biome to have the ice not form, but after it did form, I quite liked it, actually. It made an interesting pattern out here, so I decided to leave it as is. And as you can see here, we have every time the ice and snow flows down somewhat from the frost line up here down into the lower parts of the mountains, it melts and turns into water, and little streams down here will fill up our reservoir. Although I need to add some little streams around here now that I think about that. I have to put that on the to-do list. Let's go around here and take a bit more of a look around the plains of Karana itself. The river up here, this goes all the way up to Halas in the far frozen north, which we're probably going to end up there later today. There's nothing up there yet, but there's something I want to build, so I need to set that up for you before we actually get up there. You can see here we have a large watchtower crossing this particular road, which this road is important because this is the main road that goes to Koinos over there, but this is also the road that goes up to High Pass, which is up here, which is, as the name implies, a mountain pass. And there's going to be a High Pass Castle, or Highhold's Keep, up there in the top of that we're going to be constructing. I'm not sure if that's going to be in a Roman or medieval theme, possibly a combination of the two. It's not technically Koinosian territory, but it is sort of, I think they've sworn fealty to the king of Koinos. So they are technically their liege lords, which makes them sort of like a protectorate, you could say. They're more closely aligned to Koinos than to Freeport, that is. And anyway, let's go along the river here. So we have another watchtower by another bridge, and you will notice that this is going to be a pattern. Every time we have a bridge crossing that goes across the river here, there is a tower right beside it, and there's another tower, so you know that there's another bridge around over here. And there's also the third castle tower over there, and that leads off to the road that goes off to Lake Wraith in the Wraith Mountains, which are these mountains over here to the south. Now, the reason the towers are along the river over here is because the plains of Karana and Koinos has a knoll problem. That is spelled G-N-O-L-L. And they're sort of like, I don't know how you would describe it. They're kind of like wolves, but they're like halfway sentient wolves. They're sort of like wolf people, but they're not like werewolves. It's kind of a different thing. They're gnolls. So, and there are two infestations of gnolls, you could say. To the far north, we have the Blackburrow gnolls, which we'll be building Blackburrow at some point in the future. But today we are over here, hovering over the entrance to Split Paw, or Infected Paw, as some refer to it, because these gnolls down over here, they tend to be somewhat diseased for some reason. Not really sure what's caused that, but as you can see here, we have a giant gnoll paw print, because right here in the middle is where we're going to have a tunnel that will go down and be the entrance to Split Paw itself whenever we get around to building that. But this is just sort of a big marker of their presence on this side of the river. They consider this to be their territory. Actually, they consider the entire plains of Karana to be their territory, in fact, but that is why there is so much conflict around here between them and the farming community. Which I know these are just plains, but imagine just farm fields and houses and barns and everything rolling along as far as the eye can see. And that is what we're going to have in the plains of Karana. Now, let's talk about the new Wizard Spire design, because some of you, especially those of you that are familiar with EverQuest, will instantly recognize what this is. But for those of you that are not, these are the Luckland Wizard Spires. And since the last episode I talked about Luckland, these are going to be one of the primary ways to get to Luckland, because there are 5 of these spires, and they are situated on each continent, which means each continent that we have. If you remember the previous episodes, you can get to Cunark from here, and Velius, and Otis, and Fedor. And you would do that just by pressing the buttons here, and there's a command block below that will teleport you to those places. But the original spire design I had just recycled some obelisks and had put them over here from a previous build that I did. But I decided that for this, I really wanted to scratch build something that was going to be more reminiscent of the wizard spires that are actually in EverQuest. And as I've said, some people wanted something that was a bit more authentic and faithful to the game. So that is what I chose to do with these, except I have, of course, as you can tell, I've made some changes to the design. They're just basically white hunks of stone in this basic shape in EverQuest, but I've added some obsidian and bedrock details, as well as this sort of a rib vault of a glowstone that goes across here that makes this pretty cool pattern, so it can be kind of lit up at night and give you the idea that there is sort of power, or rather arcane energy, coursing through the spires themselves, which of course powers the teleporting device. But enough about the wizard spires today. We'll be seeing a lot more of those. Let's go back to the aqueduct over here and follow it and get a little bit closer to the city. We are about, with these towers here, we're about halfway in the middle of the plains of Karana. This is, of course, the flattest and most fertile area of Norrath, which means we're going to have a lot of work to do here. In fact, it's going to take a really long time to do everything I want to do in the Karana Valley. We can also see while we're over here, I have slightly modified and redesigned the smaller wizard spires. This is a spire network that I believe these just go to 5 locations on the continent of Antonica itself. And I have remodeled them to be sort of more primitive and a bit more arcane than the wizard spires themselves, because I wanted them to not quite share the same exact design language, but I wanted them to be a bit more distinct than they were previously. So I shortened the obelisks on the sides here, and I've changed the colors to just make them a 2-color thing, well, aside from the top, of obsidian and bedrock, and just some little golden details on the points there. I think they look better than they did before. They were a little bit too tall for being as thin as they were. However, we are now almost getting to the city itself, so for the grand reveal of that, we need to go somewhere around here, get a little lower down, and with that, I present to you the Roman city of Koinos, or Koinos, or however you want to say it. Everybody has a different opinion on that. But as you can see, we do have some familiar things around here. You probably recognize the Roman monument poking up out of the city back there, as well as some designs of temples that we have around here. We have the gate that I showed off previously, and then I put in around here. And we have some sort of decorative colonnaded porticos sitting up there. They don't have roofs on them, though. I'm not sure that I'm going to put roofs on them. I'm still thinking about that. But as you can tell, we have extended the walls all the way around the city itself around here. And the aqueduct enters the city just over there in North Koinos, so we will be taking a look at that. But first we want to enter South Koinos. Now I know the gate is supposed to be in North Koinos. I do have another gate over there, but for the purposes of the reveal here, I want to drag this out a little for dramatic effect. So we have our grand Roman gates around here. We will slowly enter and take a look at everything. I do have some automatic redstone lamps around here, by the way. I've got a little daylight sensor on the top. Whenever it goes down, of course, I have the time frozen around here, so the sun is always at that exact angle. But whenever it does get to be night around here, these things will automatically turn on and turn off when the sun comes back up. We will go up the stairs here. You can see we have a grand Roman triumphal archway, sort of, a smaller one, to serve as the portal for our gate here. So I have some hidden lighting on the sides there. And we have our 3x3 piston door. We have a couple of those. We have the gate frame right here. And while I'm thinking about it, I need to add something. There we go. And we will now enter the gates. There is a double gateway, by the way, here. It's extra secure. And once we go through that, we will enter the main road of the city of Koinos. And you can see in the middle here, we've got our Grand Roman Monument. We also have a colonnaded stoa on both sides. We're going to be filling this in similar to the one we did in Freeport, except this one's going to be somewhat larger. But both of these along the roadway here serve to frame your view to point you directly at our Grand Roman Monument, making it even more grand and impressive than it previously was. You can also see down here a road pattern that I've constructed, and if you look at this at just the right angle, the three-color pattern I've chosen here makes it look like that we have three-dimensional cubes for the roadway down here. It's definitely one of my favorite road patterns to use for Roman things. And while we're over here, we'll get a look at the other side of the gateway. And we can get a look over here at one of the currently empty districts of the city. We're going to be putting roads around here, of course, and marking out plots and putting various buildings of every shape and description, all in Roman style, but this is going to be, the commercial areas are mostly going to be centered around the roads here. By the way, we're going to have a tall Roman insulae housing parked behind the colonnaded walkways along here. And in the smaller area over here, we're going to be putting more of the same, more houses and shops of every sort of description. But let's land here and continue walking along our roadway so we can get the full effect of walking around the city here. And once we get to this point, it's sort of like a focal point of South Koinos around here. We can look up and see the dome of our Roman monument up here. And for those of you that have seen the tutorial and or built the structure, this will look very familiar to you. But from the center here, we have another device I like to use. The framing of the columns on either side here points us back towards the gateway. And it did the same thing for the monument here when we walked in. But from this point, there is also another single colonnade on both sides here that points us towards another gateway. And this is the gateway that will take us into North Koinos, which we'll be going there momentarily after we walk around here just a little bit more. There's a few things more to show. Around here, you can see in a very obviously round thing. I wonder what that is. Let's go over here and take a look at it. Now for this, the entrances down there aren't quite finished or connected yet. But at the moment, this is, of course, a Roman theater. And of course, we can't have an uncultured city population, so we have to have a grand theater here for the arts to be performed down here on the stage. And from here, we can see another pinnacle up there on the walls around here. If we go to the other side and sit over here, we should be able to see our Roman monument over there as well. And we can also go down here and stand on the stage. And we could perform a play down here for the citizenry. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him, Horatio. To be or not to be, that is the question. Now is the winter of our discontent. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves. If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you poison us, do we not die? A horse, my kingdom for a horse. That which we call a rose, by any other word, would smell as sweet. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. All that glitters is not gold. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women are merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. But I will leave that to someone vastly more qualified than myself to do. So let's go around here again. And we've seen the theater, so now we want to go through the gateway and take a look at what we have to see in North Koinos. And around here, we can currently see not much of anything, but trust me, this view is going to be in the next couple of episodes. Well, I actually don't know. It might be several episodes, but this is going to be very impressive because in front of this courtyard here with our 8-pointed star design, which I just chose this one because it's easy to make in Minecraft, we are going to have, as you can see, the foundations of a grand Roman-style cathedral. And you can just imagine around here that we have our nave here. We've got some towers on the side, some aisles, and in the middle here we're going to have a big central dome, and the east end down here, and a few more towers and some side things. You can kind of tell by the column bases around here what the general shape is going to end up being. But this is just sort of a sneak preview. And over here we also have another gateway facing the main courtyard here, because this is going to be our royal palace up here where the king Koinos lives. I think I'm probably going to raise the height of the floor in here to be maybe about where the column capitals are on the walls here. But we're going to have our royal palace up here. And of course our aqueduct that comes into the city. We started all the way over there. You know there's the reservoir on the other end. We also have to have another reservoir that I need to build somewhere around here. But I haven't built it yet, so I'm just showing you where we're kind of going to put it. But in Koinos, we have the north gate over here, and this is going to have probably another colonnade on either side of it. And it's going to have a small courtyard here outside of this part of the cathedral. And all along the walls and in the other spaces around here, we are going to be building, of course, more housing and other types of buildings. But we have something else that's facing the cathedral up here, and that is an amphitheater, or sort of a coliseum. It's a sort of a miniature coliseum. But as you can tell, it's designed the same way to match the theater. In fact, how I got the theater design was I built the coliseum first, and I took half of the coliseum and made a theater out of it. As you can obviously see here, because these seats are all arranged in the same way. Let's go down here and sit in these seats. And I think I probably need to I don't know if I will put a roof on this one. I do have two coliseums, by the way. This is the smaller one, and it doesn't have a roof on it. I'm thinking about putting one there. Maybe. I'll have to think about it. But from here, this is where we would sit in either the expensive seats down here or the inexpensive seats all the way up here, and watch the gladiator games around here. Legend has it that you can even flood this and make a mock sea battle inside the arena down there, but I've never seen them do it, so I think that's might be an urban legend. And as you can tell, doing something very round on this scale is rather difficult, because we have to take all the Roman patterns and bend them around into a circle, which, as you can imagine, doing that in Minecraft is quite a challenge. And I think at some point I will probably attempt to do a tutorial of these buildings as soon as I get around to finishing them. Looks like I haven't finished the roof up there quite yet. But I just wanted to go ahead and show this to you, because the next place we want to go to is going to be the Koinos harbor over here. And this is going to be the third section of the city. This section isn't really in Koinos. It's supposed to be part of South Koinos, the docks area. But for this, I've expanded it into something else entirely, because I think you're going to be quite pleased with what I have in store here. And upon entering the harbor, we are immediately greeted with... Oh my. Is that... Yes, I think it's a Colossus. And it's striding over the harbor. I think if we had a boat here, we could actually sail straight between it. Just like all those wonderful old engravings of the Colossus of Rhodes have going. And that is exactly the inspiration for this. Also, the Greek wonder from Age of Empires is also what I've modeled this off of. And as you can tell, I'm only about halfway done putting in the coloring for it. All I've really done is part of the shield and the spear and the crest on the helmet around here. But we do have in our colonnaded harbor area here, we have an enclosed harbor, and we have a massive Colossus guarding the entranceway here. And of course, this being Minecraft, he has to have a diamond spear. One could even say it was almost a diamond-tipped war javelin of sorts. Those of you from EverQuest will get that reference. But it does have a golden shaft on it, and it's got a little diamond pommel on the other end of it down there. And it's got an obsidian handguard, and the rest of it's wrapped in red nether brick. All these colors really go together quite well. We've got our red and black helmet crest up here. And it looks particularly impressive from this angle back here, because you can see all of our Roman buildings in the backdrop around here of the city. However, I can't take full credit for this statue because it's so large, it's kind of too big to build. So what I did to get the basic shape of this was I took someone else's three-dimensional model and I put it through a program and modified it and then put it into Minecraft to get the basic stone shape here. And it's about half done, as you can see. So I'm adding all the materials, and I'm going to be adding some more details and everything to the statue itself to make it look a bit better than it does currently. But I just wanted to explain that, because whenever I do use partial bits of someone else's work, I always like to tell you about that. You can see here in the harbor, we have some statues on top of columns made out of various different materials around here. I need to put a couple of different statues, probably a different one over there, maybe a shorter one. Because over here, as with Freeport, we're going to be edging the entire thing out with wooden docks, and we're going to have ships from pretty much all the lands of Norrath will be visiting this particular harbor, because it is a very large commercial center over here. And you can also tell we have over here something that doesn't quite match the Roman style, anything else we've got around here. It is a diorite and granite obelisk. I wonder what distant land this comes from. I'm sure we will be finding that out at some point in the future. There is a smaller docks area over here in the north part. By the way, we have another gate over here that leads back to North Koinos. And it has a smaller docks area over here as well, with a tower on it. Another smaller tower that needs a top on it, and another statue. And some more piers for various ships to dock at around here. But the interior enclosed harbor over here is the largest one, and it's my favorite design. I think we might have some smaller wooden jetties and everything hanging out on this side of the colonnade over here as well. So let's make another quick pass over the entire city. We have our guardian Colossus here, guarding the entrance to our harbor over here. We have South Koinos, with its cultured theater and its various districts and the monument here in the center. In North Koinos, we're going to have the Colosseum, the cathedral, a large central plaza down here. And of course, the royal palace is going to be going in around here. And the last thing I want to do today as we leave Koinos is I want to take a trip up north and go to Halas because I've been building some other things on a flat world that I'm just dying to get started into the world. All we're really going to be doing at Halas, and probably the next episode, is we'll be taking a look at the city walls that I want to put in around there. I just want to get that started because, as I've said, the next download is planned to come up fairly soon, and I want to have something up there for you to go see. By the way, I have updated all the other 5 wizard portals, by the way, so they all look like that now. So hopefully you enjoy the new design. I know that all the EverQuest fans really will. So we're here over by our reservoir, so we want to follow the river around here north and see where it starts up here in the mountains. We're also crossing one of the castles over there. As you can see, we've got a smaller little river over here, another little guard tower over there, but we want to go this way. And we want to go up here through this canyon, which will take us all the way north around the bend of the river here. And while we're going up here, I want to make a small stop and show you the Sunderock Springs, because they're going to be coming up here fairly shortly. I don't think I've seen these with shaders in the video before, so we definitely need to do that. Here's a waterfall that's coming down off of it. The water appears to be quite warm, and the reason it is warm is because the Sunderock Springs up here, of course, are geothermal. They're very active. This is sort of like the Yellowstone of Norrath, you could say. And for this, as you can see, I have color-coded the stained clay around here to form the patterns that appear in Yellowstone with the sort of the rainbow effect. There is a green clay underneath here, by the way. It gets kind of lost in the blueness of the water. But if we go around up here, you can kind of see what I'm going for with that around here. And we have a lot of hydrothermal pools around here. And in some of these, in these little areas around here, I haven't added the water for it, but these are planned to be geysers. I think I have 3 of those. I think 2 of them. The third one's around here somewhere. So we're going to have some water shooting up out of these. But it's going to be quite a while before I start building anything around here, because I'm not exactly sure what I want to put around here. I'm thinking maybe some gnomes have probably come in here with their clockwork technology and try to extract resources, probably. Seems like something they would do, even though this is quite a ways away from their home. But I just wanted to give you a quick view of this area for those of you that weren't here for the tour videos. So let's leave the Sunderock Springs, return to the river down here, and continue following its course northwards around here, which will take us where we want to go. And as you can see, as we go further north, things start getting colder. There is now snow down here by the river in patches. And as we go even further north, the snow starts getting thicker and deeper. Ice starts appearing in the river. And then we get far enough north to where everything is pretty much frozen. And the river is increasingly being frozen over here. We've got a nice wooden bridge down here with the road that leads to Halas. And this is actually the Everfrost zone area of Norrath. And as we get even further north still to the extreme reaches of the north, everything is absolutely frozen, including the entire lake, with the wooden bridge here. And this, of course, leads straight over to the city of Halas itself. Now, for those of you that don't know, the city of Halas is the barbarian city. They're sort of like the Vikings of Norrath. And in keeping with Viking style, you can kind of guess that everything is going to be in that sort of themed up here, but it's going to be a bit more primitive than either Koinos or Freeport in development, but it's going to share design language from both, as well as having its own additions. But as you can see, the city of Halas itself here, with this pre-drawn in road network I've got, is very irregular, and it's rather haphazardly laid out, as you would imagine a barbarian city would tend to be. So for next episode, what I'm going to be putting in up here are the city walls that are going to be going across there in front of the frozen lake. There's going to be a couple of gateways and probably some more walls around here because we have a patch of sea ice up here that isn't quite frozen, which means that we can have ships that can sail all the way up here if they so choose. We can't have ships from this side though, because pretty much as we get farther up north, we run into the giant polar ice cap walls up there, which is something else I'm going to be putting in fairly soon. They're not quite there yet. But this is meant to be as far north as you can reasonably get with a boat. Otherwise, as you have seen, to get here overland or up the river, it's fairly inaccessible, which means the barbarians are fairly secure up here. They don't have very many threats up here, except for maybe some ice goblins or something. There is an ice dragon that lives over there somewhere. Legend has it. Maybe we will eventually see that too. But that's going to be all the time we have for today. Hope you have enjoyed today's episode and seeing the grand plans we have for the Roman city of Koinos. All the work we did in the plains of Karana with the aqueduct and the new wizard spire design. And next time for Halas, we're going to be going full Skyrim up here and building the beginnings of a large Nordic style city up here as well. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.